In the quiet moments, that's where I'll find a little room to breathe, leave it all behind. Give me room to breathe, I need some time to heal my heart, to clear my mind. Gonna love myself, yeah, I believe in the power of me. Just give me room to breathe.
Hey family, welcome back to the Room to Breathe podcast. I'm your host, Life Coach 614, and I am so glad that you made space to be here with us today. Now, before we get into this episode, do me a quick favor. If you're feeling the vibe, go ahead and show us some love. Tap that screen, like, comment, and share this out with someone who may need a little healing energy today. And if this is your first time here or you haven't already done so, go ahead and hit that follow button, subscribe to our channel, so that way you're always tapped in when a new episode drops. I also want to personally invite each and every one of you to check out our digital home at selfcareclub.org, where you'll find everything from affirmative apparel to motivational merch and a bunch of free resources to help nourish your growth and remind you that you're supported every step of the way. Just know that you don't have to do this alone. We're in this together. We're healing in community, growing one breath, one moment, one day at a time. So today, give yourself permission to pause, reflect, and make space for peace, for growth, and most importantly, for you. Now, if anything in today's episode hits home, be sure to drop some green hearts in the chat. It's our way of saying I'm healing, I'm growing, and I'm showing up for me. Now, let's get ready to breathe, reflect, and grow together. Today's episode is another Healing Out Loud segment where I read letters from my community and give answers live. So today's episode is just a little bit different, y'all, but it's a whole lot of real, okay? And so, like I said, I like to call this segment Healing Out Loud, Letters to My Healing Self. And it's just a live Q&A. In between, if time allows, I can also answer questions from the chat. So I will definitely try to incorporate those. But if for whatever reason we miss your question or comment during the chat, I invite you to submit your own just by going to send an email to info@selfcareclub.org. And I'll make sure I include all of that in the details for you, in the description for you. But yeah, this is where our community and like life coaching kind of collide, right? It's where I bring the two spaces together. And so I feel like this is a segment where truth meets testimony, and where all of your questions, you know, all the ones that everybody's been kind of holding in, get answered in real time. These letters are more than just words on a page to me. I feel like these are just everybody's little personal stories. And for some of us, it's our confession, right? It's a sacred conversation amongst us who are literally in the thick of our healing right now. You know, so these letters help me, but I believe that they're also going to help you guys as well. So whether you are, you know, someone working on your boundaries, you're dealing with burnout, mother wounds, or just trying to love yourself through some loneliness, I want you to know that this space is specifically for you, okay? So let's just jump right into it. Letter one is I feel selfish for choosing me. Has anybody else ever felt that? Like you felt selfish for kind of putting yourself first or prioritizing your needs? So letter one comes from Tasha in Atlanta, and it says, "Dear Life Coach, lately I've been trying to put myself first, whether it's saying no to extra work, taking quiet time for me, or just even resting, taking a nap in the middle of the day. But every time I do, I feel this overwhelming guilt, like I'm being selfish. I've always been the strong one for everybody else, but now that I'm choosing me, I feel like I'm letting other people down. How do I shake this guilt and truly believe that choosing myself isn't selfish?" I feel like this is a question that a lot of people ask because the moment, hey, Concrete Rose, the moment we start prioritizing our needs, we feel like we're letting the other people in our life down, be it our partners, our parents, our friends, our children, right? Because the moment we quote unquote greedily take time for ourselves, it makes us feel like we're taking time away from someone else. Um, so, Tasha, my first thing to tell you would simply be that choosing you is not selfish. It is actually the most selfless thing that you can do. And so that guilt that you're feeling is not yours. It's simply the residue of years of conditioning that made you believe that your worth was tied to how much you could give other people. Spark Motive, welcome in. So, Tasha, you cannot pour from an empty cup. So every single time that guilt creeps in, I encourage you to just pause and, have your affirmations on hand, right? Saying something like, choosing me is an act of love, not betrayal. And you have to begin to understand that you deserve that love. And not only do you deserve love from other people, but you deserve that love from yourself. You have to be the one to step forward to give yourself that love first. And so for anybody, Tasha or anybody else listening, if you've ever felt guilty for choosing yourself, know that you're not alone. Okay. We're learning as we go, right? It took years for us to survive all of this trauma, all of this mess over the years. And we are now starting to unpack that, and we're healing in real time. So again, don't be so hard on yourself. Show yourself some grace, and know that you're not alone in this. I say keep showing up for you. Keep talking about it, speaking your feelings, because your feelings are valid. But by all means, keep going, like stay the course, keep pouring into yourself, and they'll get it. They maybe not, they maybe won't like it in the beginning, especially if you're like setting boundaries and things like that, but they'll get it. So Tasha, I hope that helps. Rich Risings, bro, how you feeling today? All right, so letter number 2. Healing feels lonely. Is that normal? Like, I feel like could be the whole part right there. Because I tell y'all all the time, healing is lonely. Like, healing is not for the faint of heart. So this letter comes from Malika in Philadelphia. Malika says, "Dear Coach, since I've started healing, I've noticed I spend more time alone. I've outgrown some friendships and social scenes, and sometimes I feel isolated. Is that normal? How do you recommend I stay encouraged?" And wait a minute, how do you recommend I stay encouraged when healing feels so silent? So yeah, like I said, y'all, healing ain't for the weak. And it does feel lonely because we're starting to separate ourselves from the things that we've tolerated over the years, right? The things that we've grown comfortable in. But that loneliness that we feel is actually growth, right? Because healing strips away the things that no longer serve us. And that space starts to feel empty because over the years we started acquiring things. And when I say things, I also mean like people, relationships, friendships, all of these toxic trauma bonds, right? So over the years, we've gotten all of these things to fill up our space, to make us feel like we were whole, to make us feel like we were supported in a community. But, when you start healing, God has a tendency to remove these barriers and remove these blocks. And so at first, it does feel empty. You do feel this sense of loneliness because what you've grown used to is no more. And so I would encourage you not to rush the process, because that loneliness is a very sacred place. And as you continue to stay the course and be obedient, walking in your purpose, understanding that it's not going to look like everybody else's, that's where your true tribe will find you. So if you keep going and sitting in toxic spaces and entertaining BS that means you no good, then your soul tribe can't find you because you're buried in all the toxic mess that they avoid. So you have to learn to sit with the quiet, understanding that you're not alone. You may feel lonely, but you're not alone. You're never alone, even if it feels that way. So, if you feel like you're outgrowing circles and feeling lonely in the in between, just understand that, it is part of the process. Just like I always say, we're not alone. That's why, even though self-care is for us, right? Self-care is a very independent thing. It's for me, right? What goes in my cup is for me. What overflows from my cup is for everybody else. But just because we are prioritizing ourselves to fill our cup up doesn't mean that we have to do it alone. We have entire communities that are built towards helping and healing, right? To keep you encouraged, So yeah, like everybody's typing in the chat, it's not loneliness, right? And I'll even go a step further to say it's not loneliness, it's alignment. It is, in that silence when we feel lonely, that God is starting to line us up with what's next for us. So yeah, that's the sweet spot. And I feel like anybody who feels like they're lonely right now and they're seeing a whole bunch of things falling off, just know that like God has a blessing for you. I often use the analogy, imagine looking out the window in your neighborhood and you see all of your neighbors getting upgrades on their house. They're building decks, they've got pools, everybody's getting new cars. Like every single neighbor's house you look at, you just see a blessing and a blessing and a blessing, right? And so there's no need for you to stress or be jealous or angry, because that means God is in the neighborhood. And as long as you stay the course, then you know that you're up next. I can't tell you if it's going to be today. I can't tell you if it's going to be tomorrow, but I can tell you if you stay the course and you're obedient to what he's calling you to do, and you're, again, walking in your purpose, not mine, not Bren, not Spark, but like literally your purpose, then all of a sudden things will begin to shift. You'll stop observing everything that you're lacking and you'll start really living from a place of abundance. So Malika, I hope that helps. Yeah, January says you have to start from the inside. Ghost says can't lose yourself in this toxic world. Absolutely. Blessings to you, Coach Lily. Welcome in, beautiful. We are healing out loud today, reading questions from our supporters. We are on letter number 3. Letter number 3 is Bree. Okay, Chi-Town in the house. Bree's from Chicago. Bree says, I'm working on boundaries with my family, but they don't seem to take me seriously. They joke, guilt trip, or always tell me that I'm overreacting. How do I stay firm when they keep pushing? Y'all, put a green heart in the chat if you've experienced this. Like, we need Bree to understand that she is not alone. Like, I would be pushing all the green hearts right now. Setting boundaries with family is one of the hardest things, right? Because they swear they know you, right? Bree, you see these green hearts all through these chats, okay? It's like, that phrase, sometimes it be your own people, okay? Sometimes, y'all, it be your own people. Like, your family will try you. But the first thing I need for you to understand, Bree, is that your boundaries aren't up for debate. Okay? You're not setting boundaries because you're seeking approval from other people. You're setting boundaries because you have this desire to protect your peace. So they might call you extra, but stay firm. And you can still be loving and firm at the same time. Every time you hold your line, right? You teach them respect. And we have to teach people how to respect us. And so if we keep being, bending and being super flexible with these boundaries, then they're going to keep running all over us. They say, stand firm, Bree. Right? So again, you have to, understand that, yeah, they might call you extra. They might say you being too much or you doing the most or whatever. Keep doing the most. They say those who mind don't matter. Now, I don't care if y'all share the same name. I don't care if y'all got the same DNA running through your bodies. If they don't respect it, that's on them, not you. That is a them problem. So if you're swaying with your boundaries, first, remind yourself why you set them in the first place. Sometimes going back to our why helps us to keep going, right? So go back to your why. Remember what it felt like before you had the boundaries. Remember the pain that you felt when you needed to set those boundaries. And then now that you know your why and you remember your why, then you're like, okay, yeah, I remember why I said this, because so-and-so keeps doing this. They keep crossing the line. They keep draining my energy. They keep stealing my peace. That's why I had to set the boundary in the first place. And like I said, Bree, you're not the only one. There are green hearts all over this chat. Your self-care family is over here like, stay the course. Don't let them knock you down. Because again, you have to understand that if you keep pouring from an empty cup, if you keep, saying yes to them and no to you, at some point you're going to be left with nothing. And then what do you have to give? How are you of support to them? If your battery is on E, if your cup is empty, what do you expect to do for them? So yeah, they're going to push. Like I said, sometimes it be your own people, girl. They're going to push. But you have to remind them that your peace is non-negotiable. I said what I said. Right? And let them know that their feelings are valid. If they don't like it, that's their feelings and it's valid. But if it's about my boundary, it doesn't concern me. That I encourage you to go over there and process your emotions. Right, Danielle? Tell them I encourage you to go over there, process your emotions, feel how you need to feel. Thank you, love. Tell them feel however it is you need to feel, but my boundary is not bending. Yes, Go said they will get over it. Protect your peace at all costs. Yeah. So Bree, your affirmation for the day is my peace is non-negotiable. Thank you. Y'all type that in the chat for me. My peace is non-negotiable. I hope that helps, Bree. Thank you so much for the gifts. Whew, all right, you guys, we have made it through 3 letters already. This is getting good. These questions are great. All right, so question number 4. Let me see where this one comes from. Okay, we got Houston, Texas in the house. Nia from Texas. Nia says, I'm tired of always being the bigger person. I feel like we all be there, right? I'm tired of being the bigger person. I keep taking the high road and staying calm, but people disrespect me without accountability. How do I protect my peace without sacrificing my feelings? Whew, listen, again, first and foremost, I want to say to you, Nia, that being the bigger person doesn't mean that you have to be the sacrificial lamb. Okay? I think a lot of times we think being the bigger person means that we have to shrink ourselves. Hey, Tay. Hey, you. We think that, being the bigger person means we have to shrink ourselves down. We got to chop ourselves up into tiny little pieces for other people to dissect. But that's not what it means, right? You don't owe anyone your emotional labor. Sometimes we have to understand that protecting our peace means walking away from people. Sometimes protecting our peace means choosing our silence, right? So you have to know when to disengage, not to endure. It's like you owe yourself the peace, not the pain. So being the bigger person doesn't mean that you have to sit there and you have to tolerate, the mess and the drama from people. What do they say in that song? You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. We got to know when to walk away, honey, and know when to run. Okay, because people will really, truly take you there. And so, like I said, being the bigger person, I feel like has been glorified over the years, right? Like society has convinced us that, being the bigger person comes as some sort of badge of honor, right? But truthfully, it feels like it's more of emotional suffocation, right? When people keep crossing your lines and they don't hold themselves accountable, it feels like it's suffocating you, like it's drowning your healing out. But again, protecting your peace does not require you to silence your feelings. You don't have to be the quiet storm while everybody keeps to show up and keep disrespecting you. I remember when I did an interview with Tiffany Vincent last week, and Tiffany was talking about where she was first observing, thank you for the gifts. She was first observing how what part she played in the lack of boundaries. And she said something about, it's like when you get on a cruise ship and they're all boarding, and so they let the gate down, and she said it was like, you may now come in and disrespect me, you may now come in and disrupt my peace and uproot everything that I have going on. And she said she had to hold herself accountable because that was her allowing people in. It was an open invitation. And so we have to begin to understand that, no, I don't have to sit around and be silent and allow you to keep coming in to disrespect me. You are allowed to speak up. Okay, Nia? You are allowed to set boundaries, and you are allowed to disengage with people. The high road does not mean you have to be a doormat. It just means that you choose maturity. But maturity is, like I said, knowing when to hold them and when to fold them, right? You've got to know when to exit the conversation, completely remove your energy, and honestly stop explaining your worth. Like I tell you guys all the time, your presence is a gift. You simply being here on this earth is a gift. And so if you show up in someone else's space, if you are simply present in someone else's space and they do not respect the gift that you are, then you should not be present in that space. Nia, you don't have to shrink yourself to be peaceful. You don't have to swallow your emotions to appear calm, right? Being at peace is not about enduring disrespect. It's about being intentional with who you are, right? With who and what you give access to. So, from here on out, the energy or the vibe is, I'm not being the bigger person. I'm being the healing person, right? I'm no longer going to be a hurt person who keeps showing up hurting people or allowing people to hurt me. So I'm no longer the bigger person. I used to say I match energy, but then you got to be careful with that, because if people bring you negative energy, I don't want you to match it back. But yeah, I'm not the bigger person anymore. I feel like if I got to be uncomfortable, we all finna be uncomfortable, right? So if someone shows up and they disrespect me and they violate me, I'm not saying that I have to disrespect you back, but we gonna be uncomfortable. And sometimes that we gonna be uncomfortable is the fact that now I done had to get up and move and leave you sitting over here looking crazy. The uncomfortable is gonna come from you disrespecting me in a phone call or a text, and now you sitting there on red or left on silent because I ain't got time to be going back and forth with you. You'll never understand. I'm healing. You're enjoying your toxic space. What we got to talk about? So yeah, the healed version of you knows that your silence is powerful. But another thing that is equally as powerful as that silence is simply saying enough. Right? There's no shame in stating enough. I've had enough. I've done enough. All of this, enough. You owe yourself peace, not pain. Anybody else tired of being the bigger person? Right? I'm done being the bigger person. I'm tired of it. While everybody else is out here, flourishing, I'm tired of being the bigger person. Stitch said, no, matching energy will zap your energy and sometimes erase it. Absolutely. Stitch, I had to learn that because I used to be like, ooh, I'm matching energy. How we acting today, right? That was trending, and I felt like Oh, you disrespect me, I'll disrespect you. You do this, I do that. But you're right. Hey, Miss Bless. Hey Diva, you're absolutely right, Stitch. If you match energy and a person is bringing you negative vibes, they are literally going to be energy vampires. They are going to show up as the DOPs that they are. For those of you who don't know, DOPs are disruptors of peace. We don't like them. We leave them over there. We leave them on red. We leave them outside the door. We don't invite them in, y'all. But if you match energy, then all of a sudden this disruption that they have brought in has now ruined everything for you. So you've got to be really careful. But you're not obligated to be the bigger person. Okay. Like I said, sometimes it is a simple exit stage left. I don't have to be here. Yeah, Ms. Bless said just watch them and observe the behavior. Just observe. Like, it is what it is. Y'all see them over there? Right? Sometimes we just got to wash our hands. We got to wash our hands on it. All right. So, Nia, love, I hope that helps. Keep me posted on the progress. All right. Now y'all, we got a letter from Los Angeles. I don't know that we done been to LA yet, y'all. We got a Janelle with a J. Janelle with a J from Los Angeles. All right. Janelle says, I'm healing, but I'm still attracting toxic people. I'm doing the work, but I keep attracting people who drain me or lack emotional capacity. Why is this happening and how do I break this cycle? Whew. That is like the $1 million question, right? Like I'm over here doing the work, but I just keep attracting all this negativity and this toxic people in my life. Listen, healing don't mean that toxic people aren't going to show up. Honey, I wish it was that simple. For real. Okay? Healing simply means that you're recognizing these toxic people faster and you don't entertain them as long. You got to tighten up your access, Janelle. All right. You don't owe anybody a front row seat to your healing just because they showed up. Healing means that you've learned to walk away quicker. And eventually these toxic people just simply don't find their way in. Right? But I need you to know that doing the inner work doesn't stop the toxicity. And it doesn't stop, the draining people from showing up. It literally just changes how you entertain them. Growth and healing gives us discernment, not immunity. You're not attracting them because you're broken. They're drawn to your light, but it's up to you how you guard that light. I used to think that all the time because I always attract toxic energy, right? And I was like, Dad, why does it always surround me everywhere I go? And then I'm like, wait, is it me? Like I had to honestly admit that I was the common denominator. I was what showed up, especially when I think of relationships, because I had a type. And that type was ain't shit men. And I'm not saying that, fellas, hear me out. I'm not saying that all men ain't shit. I'm not saying it like that. I'm stating that prior to my marriage, I had a type that I attracted ain't shit people. Okay. And so by doing that, I had to say, well, it cannot be all of these men, right? Because these are all different people. It cannot be them. It was me. And these people were drawn to me because of the light. These people were drawn to me because of who I was. And I did not protect my light. So I kept attracting all of these people, and it wasn't even just relationships. It was also friendships, because again, they were attracted to the light that I gave off, right? The fact that I was a positive person and they were negative and they needed some positivity, but they also needed someone's positivity to drain. And so in those relationships, before I learned how to set my boundaries, I was giving and giving and giving. And honey, they were taking and taking and taking. So you have to understand that it is up to you how to protect your light. And, I think a deeper question for you. Hi, Iris. Welcome in. I think a deeper question for you Janelle, would be, are you still trying to prove you're worthy by overextending yourself? Because I think that sometimes, many of us have been conditioned to be the fixer, the nurturer, the overgiver, and so we are subconsciously giving, ourselves to people with emotional lack, right? We're giving them this VIP pass, hoping that they'll finally give back to us, but they won't. Takers have a purpose. Their purpose is to take and take and take and take. So Janelle, you've got to stop inviting them folks into your life on, based solely on potential. Everybody has potential, but potential will never pay emotional rent. So breaking the cycle starts with, you tightening up your access, right? The thing that I tell many of my clients is you're not for everybody, and that's okay. You weren't built to be for the streets. So you've got to stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Right? Don't overcompensate for their lack of energy. Takers have one job. They're going to show up. They're going to take. So you got to ask yourself, am I choosing them, or am I choosing not to be alone? Because some of us entertain this toxic energy just so we won't be alone. We're afraid to be alone. And we have to get used to being by ourselves. That's why I always tell single people when they're like, oh, what advice do you have for someone who wants to be married? Love yourself, spend time with yourself, take yourself on a date, get to know you. Because if you can't sit alone in the room by yourself without going crazy, how do you expect other people to? So again, I need you to ask yourself, are you choosing them? Or are you simply just choosing not to be alone? It's not really about changing who you attract. It's about changing who you entertain and how long you allow them to stay. I feel like the cycle breaks when you realize that your peace is more valuable than their potential. And you have to remember, if it costs you your peace, it is too damn expensive. Janelle, a great affirmation for you to recite daily would be, I no longer give access to people who drain my energy. I'm choosing alignment, not attachments. I'm going to say that one more time for you, Janelle. I no longer give access to people who drain my energy. I am choosing alignment, not attachments. All right, y'all. Let me see some green hearts in the chat if that resonates with y'all. Because again, I think that all of these questions hit home for all of us. Like every single question that we've read so far, I have been at that level. I've been at that stage. Iris says, if it doesn't bring peace, love, and unity, let it go. Exactly. Let it go. Thank you, Miss Blessed. You guys, make sure you're clicking the heart up top and grab your points. There's a little task that you guys get to do to level up. So make sure you hit the green, not the green heart. I see all the green hearts on the screen, and now I'm going to say the green heart. Make sure you hit the heart by the name up there, so that way you guys can get your points. But yeah, if it costs you your peace, it's too expensive. So Nia, yeah, you've got this. Stay the course. And don't worry about the attraction. I mean, we don't chase, we attract. And so what's for you is for you, and no one can take it from you. So again, stay the course. Like, I feel like at the end of every letter, I'm like, stay the course, don't give up. Stay the course, don't give up. Because I feel like I cannot say that enough. But I think that we all need to hear that. So good luck, Janelle. Keep me posted. All right. Y'all feeling good? Y'all liking this today? I think we've got some really good questions today. Thank you. Thank you for the gifts. Come on, keep tapping, y'all. I see y'all. North side awake. South side, y'all sleeping today. Let me help y'all out real quick. Y'all, we got to wake the south side up. I don't know what they over here doing, but we're going to wake them up a little bit. Here we go. All right. Alrighty, guys. So, letter number 6. I am married, but I feel like a single parent. Ooh, Keisha, that subject alone is a lot to unpack. Let's get into this question. Keisha from North Carolina says, I've been married 10 years, but it feels like I'm a single parent. My partner is physically there, but emotionally checked out on parenting and chores. I'm exhausted. How do I communicate without starting an argument or being labeled as nagging? Whew. I feel like we're going to have to sit with that one for a second, because I think that all parents, I don't even want to say all moms, I'm just going to say all parents experience this at some point. Every relationship that has to navigate co-parenting, partners, parents have felt this. So yeah, that's a heavy one. But again, Keisha, you're not alone. Okay. Being married but feeling like a single parent is one of the most lonely kind of exhaustion, because it comes, with invisible labor, right? You're carrying the emotional, mental, and physical load while your partner is just there, right? And the worst part is when you try to bring it up, suddenly, you're nagging, you're complaining. But Keisha, that's gaslighting, right? If you're in a relationship, especially a marriage, you should be able to bring up how you feel without your partner gaslighting you. You should always be comfortable to have conversations with your partner, even if it's, even if it's a difficult conversation, right? So I want to first just start by stating to you that is gaslighting. Because we can't heal what we can't feel, and we need to be able to put a name on it. Okay. So I'm going to start by saying that advocating for yourself is not nagging, despite how your husband or your wife feels about it. Expressing your needs is not complaining. You are asking for partnership, right? You're not doing them a favor. You're asking for partnership. Welcome in, Papa Smurf, Miss Independent, Ira, love yourself. Welcome in. So I think the key to shift the conversation from blame to impact, the very first thing that I always do is shift to I statements, right? So instead of walking into this conversation, hey, Miss Portia, instead of walking into the conversation with your spouse or your partner, your friend, whoever this is, right? Anybody, y'all can apply this to your life. Don't walk into the conversation with you always doing this, you always doing, no, it's not you, right? Because remember, they say when you point the finger, 3 point back at you. So there's still a part of something that you're not doing. And so you don't want to start this conversation with you. Start the conversation with I feel. For example, you say, I feel overwhelmed. I feel unseen, when the household responsibilities fall solely on me. I feel exhausted when I'm the only one caring for the kids. I feel drained when I have to cook dinner and do the dishes and clean up and grocery shop and do. So you can say, I feel. That is your emotion. It is a true statement. And it's not up for debate, because it is how you feel. Right? So the first step would be to shift from the you never, you don't, you won't, you can't, to I feel. Right? Second, be direct but calm. Right? Because clarity is kindness. So you have to be direct. And that's why I said you start with the I feel statements, because that allows you to say, well, these are my feelings. Right? And my feelings are valid. So I don't have to yell. I don't have to scream. I don't have to get frustrated, because I've already been all of those things. Hence us having this conversation. And I've probably been all of those things for far too long. Yes, yes, we are. So, Keisha, set set the boundary with follow through, right? You deserve a partner who shows up. And if that doesn't happen, figure out how you need to adjust. And that adjustment in marriage doesn't mean that you have to get a divorce. Right? I mean, we're going to go through things. Relationships are not always 50-50. Marriages are not always 50-50. Hell, marriages are rarely a 50-50. Right? And I bet you if you ask the one partner and then you ask the other, the percentages are going to be different. One might say, oh, this is 50-50. Another one might say, no, it's an 80-20. Somebody else might be like, nah, it's a 60-40. You know what I mean? It might be 100-0. That's what marriage is. It's a relationship of give and take. It is a dance that you got to get just right, or somebody's going to step on somebody's toes. Somebody ain't spinning right. Somebody ain't turning right. It's just a very delicate dance. Right? So we need to look at it as, instead of what we're lacking, we need to say, okay, let me give it 100. Let me give all that I have. Right? And sometimes all I have is the conversation of how I feel. Because maybe I am on 0 right now. Maybe I'm running on E, and all I have is how I feel about what is happening now. And I feel like if I don't get the help that I need, that I'm going to run on E, that I'm not going to be a good wife. I'll use my own marriage, for example. Back in 2019, I started being really depressed. And, at first I was suffering in silence. I started recognizing that things were off with me. Because I wasn't wanting to hang out with my friends anymore. Like, I would literally get up, I would go to work on autopilot, I would come home and I would just sit and I would watch TV. And I had a husband and a son in the same home with me at this time. But I didn't want to do the things that I used to do. Right? I used to love going to the gym, Zumba, things like that. I didn't want to do the things that I used to do anymore. I was just blah. Right? And I really couldn't explain it. So then I started having a conversation with my husband. Excuse me. And in this process of talking to my husband, he's like, you need more, like you need help. Because at first he was like, oh, I'm your husband, you should be able to talk to me. And I'm like, oh, he's right. Okay. So then I tried to open up and I tried to talk to him. And then he's like, oh, like, you've been holding this in for a really long time. You have a lot. And he was like, I'm here to support you, but I'm also man enough to say that you're going to need more than me. And so he encouraged me to also start therapy, because he's like, this is bigger than me. And if I'm one of the things that's hurting you right now, how am I supposed to heal you? Right? And so, so with that, being able to say, okay, I need this help. Him saying, I want to support you, but sometimes the only support that I have to be able to give is to encourage you to go to the expert. And now, every week when I finish therapy, he was like, how was therapy today? How do you feel? Is there anything else that you want to talk about? Is there anything that you want to unpack? You see what I mean? So it's like I was direct and I was comfortable in speaking my feelings to him. But sometimes you have to understand that it's also bigger than them. So he couldn't necessarily fix it, but he could support me while I fixed it. So yeah, you got to stay direct, be calm, and understand that it's okay for you to speak your truth. Keisha, your feelings are valid, love. And you know what, sis? If you're met with defensiveness instead of effort, that's information for you. At some point, the conversation becomes less about what you're saying and more about what they're choosing not to hear. So you're not crazy. You're not nagging. You're just simply tired of being in a relationship where you feel alone. And that's a valid feeling. So don't minimize that truth in efforts of keeping the peace. You deserve a partner, not a roommate. And maybe that's your affirmation for the week, Keisha, right? To say, I deserve a partner, not a roommate. I will no longer apologize for needing support. And, for any other mamas out there who are married and feeling unseen, that's your affirmation for the week. I deserve a partner, not a roommate, right? We went half on these babies. Okay, that means we got to come in half and half. It can't just be me. We share this home. We're in this relationship together, so it cannot just be me. We need to be able to talk about it. And if you got kiddos in the house too, right? Okay, incorporate them in the conversation. I think a lot of times we think as adults that we need to keep the adult stuff away from the kids. But one of the most therapeutic things that I did within our household is started sharing with my son how I was feeling. When I started feeling overwhelmed, when I was going through my depression, I had to then share it with my son to let him know, hey, I'm vibrating a little low today. I really could use your help. That's your room, that's your bathroom, and they need to be clean. I would really like for you to take the initiative to do it without me having to tell you 5,000 times to do it. And the first time I had that conversation with my child, he was like, well, I didn't even know you felt like that. Like, why you ain't tell me? And I'm thinking, I've been telling you to clean your room, right? I've been saying it. But sometimes you really just have to talk to them and not necessarily treating them like they're a child, but just having an honest heart to heart to say, I need help. You know what? Dad's busy. You know what I mean? Like, I need you to help me. Are there some additional chores that you feel like you can take on? You just ask them, okay, you got your chores, you clean your room, you clean your bathroom. Do you think you'll be able to help mom, unload the dishwasher every day? Or can you start doing your own laundry? You have to learn how to delegate some things too. You can't just keep taking it all on, because eventually you're going to be on E. So, Miss Keisha, I hope that helps. Keep me posted. All right, guys, we are breezing right through this. I think we have like 3 or 4 more letters that I promised to get through today. The next one is about dating. And I think last week we had a lot of people showing up asking questions about dating. So maybe this question will help out some people. This is Tiffany, another supporter in Texas. Tiffany said, Coach, not gonna lie, I am so over dating. It is draining. Every time I try to give someone a chance, it turns out the same cycle. Emotionally unavailable, playing games, or just not serious at all. And I'm tired of being told that I'm too much because I actually know what I want. I'm not asking them for perfection. I'm asking for consistency, honesty, and emotional maturity. But honestly, it feels like folks out here want all the benefits of a relationship without the responsibility. I don't want to give up on finding love, but every time I try, I end up feeling disappointed, disrespected, or just drained. How do I stay open to love without compromising my standards or losing my peace in the process? Because right now, dating feels like a waste of my time. 10 out of 10 wouldn't recommend. Oh my gosh. I understand that. Where Tiffany is right now is where I was before I met my husband. Tiffany, first of all, let me say this loud enough for Tiffany and all the people in the back. You are not too much. You are not asking for too much. You're just asking the wrong people. I don't know. Honestly, y'all, I'm just going to say, I feel like there's poop in the dating pool. Okay? Like, the dating scene right now is noisy. It is draining. And I think that from what I can remember from it, I mean, I've been out the game for about 8-9 years now, but I feel like it's still the same, right? It's like this constant loop of disappointment when you're doing the work and you keep bumping into people who are still living like on surface level. So like, I get it. You're out here showing up as your whole healed self, or at least you're working on it, right? You're healing. You're not yet healed. And you keep encountering people who want the perks of being in your space, but they don't want to rise, to the standard of being in your life. Like they just want to give you the bare minimum. Yeah, like it's a whole septic tank, Kale. Right? The first thing that I would say for you, Tiffany, is access to you is a privilege, not a right. Right? Remember, my presence is a gift, right? So just because someone shows up in your DMs or, they ask for your time, it doesn't mean that they automatically get a front row seat to your energy. Tiff, you don't need to stay open by lowering your boundaries. Staying open to love does not mean that you're making yourself available to people who want to drain you. It means that you're keeping your heart soft, but your standards solid. You can be soft and selective at the same time. So I don't think that dating is a waste of your time. Wasting your time on people who don't align, for people that are draining, wasting your time for people who don't align is what's draining you. And you know better now, so you do better, right? You know what you don't want. Like, we may not always know exactly what we want in life, but we specifically know the things we don't want. Every past relationship has taught us what we don't want, right? Coach said yes. Yes. What up, Jordan? Jordan, prime example. I'm about to put your business out, Jordan, right? Jordan had history of knowing what she did not want. All her exes. Okay, like she do not want that. 10 out of 10, don't want it. But I think just before her heart got closed off, she was still optimistic, right? Because she's a bright ray of light. She was still optimistic to it. But there was a point where she just was not open to it. Like when her now fiance, y'all, let's say fiance. But at the time, when her fiance and her first met, she was like less than interested. Because she's like, yeah, nah, been here, done that. Not interested in doing that again. And her fiance stayed the course. Like, no, you're going to let me love you. That's what we say in our house. Let me love you, right? And she was able to break those walls down. And, Jordan didn't have the walls up because she didn't want love, that she wasn't interested in a relationship. What she didn't want is her heart broken again. So, her heart was soft on the inside, but her boundaries were in place. Because not only is it her, but she has a daughter too. So she's trying to mirror that to her daughter, what you don't have to tolerate, but still reminding herself that she deserves love too. And like I said, y'all, she got a whole fiance now. They happy, they thriving, they're supporting each other. And I feel like being on the outside looking in, this relationship is giving her everything that she's always wanted and so much more. You know what I mean? So again, dating isn't a waste of time. Yeah, you're gonna kiss a few frogs before you get to your prince or your princess, right? But it's not a waste of your time. What's wasting your time is you not having the discernment to know when to walk away. Like, I can't say it enough. You got to know when to hold them and you got to know when to fold them. And that when you figure that out, when you know, this is my cue, this is the part when I walk away, then it gets easier. Ghost says, congratulations, Jordan. She over here in the chat, y'all, like, yeah, big fiance. Big. So yeah. If you're tired of auditioning for love, then stop showing up for that. You don't have to audition for it. Love is yours, but it has to start within. You have to spend time with yourself. Jordan was taking herself out on dates. And I'm proud to say that even though now she's this big fiance, she still takes herself out on a solo date. If her fiance is at work or whatever, she'll still take herself out to lunch. So again, Just because you are seeking a helpmate, because you're seeking a partner, doesn't mean you're going to lose yourself. Prioritize yourself, love yourself. Okay, Tiffany? No, wait, we're not talking to Tiffany. Wait, who we talking to? Y'all, I done forgot who we talking to. No, this is from, yeah, it is from Tiffany. I'm right. No, we were talking about Jordan, but the letter was from Tiffany. Tiffany, you have to prioritize loving on you. So that way you get used to that discernment, because each and every one of us, like, our body tells us when things aren't right. You know what I mean? But if we're not spending adequate time with ourselves, then we're not equipped to see those red flags. And so that way you know when to get out of it. I mean, when I was dating, I had fun. I went to concerts, I took trips, I did all sorts of things when I was dating, right? I had fun, but I knew when to walk away. There's a point where I was just like, yeah, this ain't gonna work. Thank you for the date. See you, bye. And I didn't feel bad leaving them on red. Call it what you want. But I knew, because I got used to being by myself and I knew what I didn't want. I didn't fully know what I wanted yet, but I knew what I didn't want. And once I got comfortable in understanding the things that I didn't want, I'm telling y'all, my husband was right under my nose the whole time, y'all. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. My husband was right under my nose. We were co-workers. We had never met. We both worked from home. So we had never met. Been friends, work friends for a couple years. He was married. I was in a relationship with somebody else who was in a relationship, apparently. Didn't know it then, but knew it at some point. But yeah, toxic stuff. And we were just friends. And we started recognizing, hey, you're not acting the same. I'm telling him, hey, you're not acting the same. So I'm supporting him as a friend as he's going through his marriage/divorce. He's supporting me as a friend as I'm waking up and realizing I'm worth more than sharing this man with this woman. Right? And then we both empowered ourselves. I'm like, no, you deserve better. Get away from her. Like, if that ain't it, get away from her. And he's like, okay, well, you deserve better. Get away from him. So we both had like this awakening moment, but little do we know, we were right under each other's nose the whole time. And the universe was like, oh, okay, they both learned at the same time. Let me go ahead and unite them. You know what I mean? So, I mean, y'all can use my relationship as your testimony of staying the course. I never thought that my husband would be my husband, but he knew. There was a point in our relationship when we started dating. He told me 3 months into us dating that I was going to be his wife. And I was like, you're crazy. Like, you are fresh out of a divorce. Like, I'm thinking to myself, you need time. Don't you want to go, run the streets? You free, bro. Like, he like, nah, you gonna be my wife. You're gonna be my wife, and I'm gonna be, your son's father. Like, this is what I'm doing. He knew it. And he ain't waste time. 9 months into us dating, that man proposed to me. And you better believe I said yes. Right? And October 1st is our 8th year married. So stay the course. Right? Go say it. When a man knows, a man knows. But that's the same thing. I'm going to say when a woman knows too. Right? Because Jordan's fiance, same thing. Y'all dated for how many months before she proposed? What? 6 months? 9 months. So they've dated for 9 months. And her fiance proposed. So yeah, I mean, you definitely just have to stay the course. But like I said, you got to get away from people and spend some time on yourself. You have to prioritize your peace first. Get used to, loving on you and being alone. People get so scared being alone, y'all. But I'm telling you, it's the best thing. It's the best feeling. Even as a wife, I still love my alone time. And I encourage my husband to have his alone time. Like, some of the best times we have are when we're both sitting in the bedroom Yeah, we have two TVs in our room. Don't ask. But we have two TVs in our room. And so the top TV, like I'm sitting here watching a movie, and on the bottom TV, he's sitting on the couch in front of the bed gaming. He got his headphones on. I got my laptop. I'm watching, whatever I'm watching. And in between, we having conversations, things like that. Like we can be together, but still be alone. So yeah, it is a beautiful place. Hey Buddha, welcome in. Mr. T, welcome in. Romeo, I see you. It is a beautiful thing to learn how to be alone with yourself. And for people who are struggling to be alone with yourself, that's your problem right there. Like you have to start being alone, you guys. You've got to get comfortable with being alone. But yeah, so I hope that helps, Tiffany. I love you to life. Keep us posted. But yeah, let's get into number 8. I think I have 3 more to go. Jordan said, you and Shannon made me realize that you don't have to be with someone long to know that they're the one. Oh, absolutely. For some people, like people are like, oh, do you believe in love at first sight? I do. I don't believe that everybody falls in love on first sight, but I do believe that people can fall in love on first sight. And I don't mean first sight on the first time you see them. I mean the first time that they show you what you've been missing. And that was it for me. Me falling in love on first sight with my husband, with Shannon, was not, the first time I saw him. It wasn't the first time we had a conversation. It wasn't the first time we went on a date. My love at first sight for my husband was the first time I saw a man not only show up because he wanted my company, but when he showed up for my son. And my child was about 5 or 6 at the time. And when I say Shannon showed up and was my son's father from the start, okay? And for many of you, you guys already know my son is adopted. And at the time, I was still just a foster mom. And so, and I don't mean just a foster mom to diminish it. I hate how that sounded. I'm sorry. I was a foster mom at the time. And I was planning on going through the adoption. And it was, conversations that Shannon and I had. But he was like, don't do it yet, because you're going to be my wife. I'm going to marry you. And he's going to be my son. So I would like to go through the adoption process with you. Y'all, that was my love at first sight. Because when I thought back to these other relationships that I had been having, for the 3 or 4 years prior to meeting my husband, and being a parent, the men were more interested in taking up time with me. Yeah, I was, January. And because like these people were interested in taking up more time with me. They wanted my company. You know what I mean? So they was like, oh, do you got a sitter? I want to take you out. Oh, do you have this? I want to do this. And I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. Mine, can you watch Kai? But like when my husband showed up, he was like, oh, you at a dance competition? Cool. Is it okay if I come through? Oh, y'all headed to the park? Cool. Can I come through? Oh, hey, I got pizzas, y'all. Like this man literally was showing up and having dance battles with us. He literally showed up from the beginning doing family things. He showed up in my life being my husband. So that was my love at first sight. That's what made it easy for me to say yes, honey. I did not hesitate. And my quickness to say yes wasn't because I was lonely. It wasn't because I didn't have other options. It was because he has showed me what no one else has showed me before. That is the love at first sight. So yeah, I definitely believe that there is love at first sight, but we gotta look for the right things. And even though I knew all the things that I didn't want, I didn't know what I actually wanted was everything that my husband is until he showed up being that. So I hope that helps somebody. My single people, I feel like we don't talk about that enough, but I will share whatever I can share to keep y'all encouraged. So that way you guys know that there is somebody out there for you. But you gotta get used to being by yourself first. You gotta start loving on yourself first. So, all right, y'all, let's jump into letter number 8. Let's see if we can get this done. We're a little over the hour, but it's our show. Who cares? All right. So, letter number 8 comes from Brooklyn Simone. Okay. Her name is Brooklyn Simone. She wants it to be known, y'all. Brooklyn says, I've been reflecting a lot lately, and I realize how much of my time and energy I've spent showing up for people who never show up for me. Friends, family, relationships, you name it. I'm always the one reaching out, checking in, remembering everybody's birthday, making sure that everybody else is okay. But when is it my turn? All I get is silence, crickets, and excuses. It is so exhausting, and I'm starting to feel like I'm being used. I keep giving people the benefit of the doubt, hoping that they'll meet me halfway, but they never do. And the worst part is when I pull back, people act like I'm the problem, like I'm the one being distant and switching up. I'm tired of overextending myself for people who don't reciprocate. How do I stop wasting my time on folks who don't value me and start pouring time back into myself without feeling guilty? Because, coach, I'm drained. I mean, I'm so drained. Help. Brooklyn. First and foremost, we got to understand the difference between wasting our time and spending our time. And I felt every single word of what you said. That's emotional exhaustion of always being the reliable one, right? That goes back to us being the strong friend, right? And so that hits different once you realize that same energy is not coming back to you. And let's be real. Some people will drain you dry and still be offended when you quit pouring. Like they will see that your cup is empty and still be mad when you have nothing to give them, knowing that they then took it all from you. Yeah, a lot of us have been there, January. And so here's the thing. You've been making emotional investments in people who don't even make minimum deposits. That's why you're tired. And that guilt you feel about pulling back, withdrawing, that's manipulation trying to convince you that your self-preservation is being selfish. But it's not. You're not the villain for choosing to stop pouring into cups that never pour back. You are not wrong for reclaiming your time, your energy, your emotional labor. You're just setting new terms of access. So you ask, how do you stop wasting your time? You start by shifting the question. Instead, you ask, why don't they show up for me? And you start asking them, why do I continue to give to people who have proven that they have nothing to give to me? Because that's where your power is, right? It's less about them, more about you. Why do I continue to show up? Why do I feel like I have to show up and be the savior for everybody? Why do I think that I have to show up and save everybody? And then you ask yourself, hey, Crystal, then you ask yourself, how am I supposed to save everybody if I'm not even willing to save myself? Right? You've got to understand it's not about being cold or bitter. It is simply about being intentional where your love goes. You've got to love yourself enough to reserve your energy for spaces that can hold you, right? You deserve spaces. You deserve people in your life who can hold you, who can support you, who can uplift you. So again, you have to first understand that you cannot keep pouring from this empty cup. You've got to understand that you are surrounded by takers, and takers' job is to take. As long as you are giving, they are taking. So use this as your permission slip to stop overgiving, right? Start receiving. Start, reevaluating your circle. And if that means that you got to sit down and make a list of all the people who are draining you, you got to list the DOPs and energy vampires, start making that list, right? Get you a taker's journal. And you start to analyze every single relationship. Well, yes, this person takes. Oh, but this person, they also give me this. They motivate me. They empower me. So, okay, there's a balance here. I can keep this. Maybe I just need to minimize, certain phone calls or set certain hours, set a little boundary here. This person is a taker and they ain't never gave me that. And they just keep showing up to take and take and take. And when I'm on top, they here. And when I'm down low, they ain't here. Or on the flip side, when I'm, going through something and when I'm miserable, they right here. But when I'm succeeding, they are nowhere to be found. Add that to your list. Set your boundaries. Sometimes your boundary is completely removing them. So yeah, I always encourage people to make the list, especially when you feel like you're giving and giving and giving and you're not getting anything back in return. And you might just have one taker who is completely draining you and ruining it for everybody else, or you may be surrounded by a sea of takers. And, as you're trying to swim, they're just pulling you back. It's like they say you got to be careful when you help someone who's drowning, because if you're not careful, they'll pull you under trying to save themselves. And that's probably what's happening in your life. So I need for you, Brooklyn, to make your list, check it twice, set your boundaries, and start weeding out, the things that you don't need because you don't want to waste your time. I'm willing to spend my time with any and everyone, right? Because there's a benefit there. I'm not willing to waste my time with any and everyone. There is a difference. So I hope that helps you, Brooklyn. All right, I need a sip of water. We got a few more, y'all. I promise these people their letters was getting read today. So stick with me, y'all. Well, I can feel this next one. This next one is about decluttering. This is from Alana. Alana says, I want to declutter, but I get overwhelmed because stuff holds memories, guilt, and I have these what if fears. How do I declutter without getting stuck emotionally? Can anybody else admit that they got a lot of shit that they need to go through? Like, is anybody else hoarding? Like, we got a stack of mail over here. We got too many clothes over here. Some of us, we got stuff mentally going on up here. Right? Like, Alana, you just hit home with this one. I think this is something that a lot of us can identify with. Decluttering isn't just about cleaning up your space, right? It's about releasing the emotional weight that's tied to that stuff. That's why it feels so overwhelming. It's not just the physical clutter. Like you said, there's guilt, there's memories, there's all these what ifs screaming. So you think, if I let this go, I'm going to be missing something. I'm going to give away something. Yeah, I am an organized person, but I also organize my mess. I organize the clutter. Yeah, purging is real. No, my brother said, yes, sister, yes. Listen, this is for all of us, y'all, okay? Holding on to things, and when I say things, I mean objects, personal items. I also mean relationships, friendships, all of it, right? Holding on to things out of guilt is not honoring your growth. Keeping things out of the what if fear is just renting out space to anxiety. Every object in your space should either serve you or bring you peace. And if the objects that you are hoarding do not serve you now, keyword now, because I know that we have things that served us in the past. Ladies, we got these purses and these shoes. Fellas, you got them sneakers and them watches and all this stuff, right? Because it served you then. Some of us got these partners in our life that served us then, but are not serving us now. Same thing with your friends, right? So every single thing in your space should either serve you now or bring you peace. And if it doesn't, it is costing you. The way to start breaking this is start small. one emotional layer at a time. Okay, this is not Men in Black. We do not get to push the button and everything just goes back. Okay, you have to understand that you don't have to tackle the entire house at once. All right, so when we're talking about the physical clutter, you guys, pick one drawer, pick one corner, one category, like old gifts, clothes, shirts. When I just recently purged my closet, I started with shirts. Then I did pants. Then I did dresses. Then I did shoes. Then I did bags. It was less overwhelming if I just focused on a particular area. So again, don't feel like you have to tackle it all at once. Give yourself permission to stop if that's what you need to do. But you have to start. Okay? So you have to pick one area. Some people set time limits. They have this thing called the magic 15, right? And they say when you start to feel overwhelmed, if there's a task, let's say you got a ton of laundry to do, right? Because that'd be me, y'all. I got a ton of laundry to do. And I say, okay, I'm going to do the magic 15, right? So I'm going to block off a couple hours. And the first 15 minutes of that time, I'm going to do something for me. So I'm going to sit and I'm going to scroll TikTok and I'm going to do what I do. Ha ha. Funny stories, whatever. When that timer goes off, I'm going to put the phone down. For 15 minutes, I am doing nothing but folding clothes, hanging clothes, doing laundry, right? Black Sunshines, welcome in. And so then when that timer goes off, forget them clothes. I'm back on TikTok, scrolling. When that timer goes off, dang, put the phone down. Got to get back to this clothes, right? So you block off time, just like we block off time for everything else. You block off time, and then you alternate 15 minutes of fun, 15 minutes of work, 15 minutes of fun, 15 minutes of work. And you can set your own different time. It doesn't have to be 15 minutes. Maybe you'll do 20, maybe you'll do 30. It's up to you. But that is the what they call the magic 15. That allows you to be able to start small, and it gives you the balance of I get to have fun, right? I still get to scroll and do different things, but I also get to get work done. The second thing that I would recommend is to ask the real questions, right? Whatever item that you're dealing with, the clutter, right? Ask yourself, does this item bring me peace? Some of us, does this relationship bring me peace? Am I holding on or keeping this out of obligation? Why do I still have this shirt from my ex-boyfriend 20 years ago? Why am I holding on to this? Because I felt obligated to? Does it reflect who I am now or who I was trying to be then? So again, you've got to start to ask yourself the real questions. It will make it easier for you to let it go. When I purged my closet, I got rid of clothes that still had the tags on them, right? Because during the pandemic, I was shopping like everybody else. What else was there to do, right? And so when I was purging things, my husband was watching and he was like, babe, you throwing away stuff that got the tags on it. And I'm looking at him at peace, like, and yeah. He's like, but don't you want to, can you not fit it? And I said, no, I can fit it. He said, but you ain't never wore it. I said, I know. Then why are you getting rid of it? Because I ain't never wore it. Why'd you buy it? Hey, we can't undo that now. But I can say that, it doesn't serve me now. It served who I was trying to be then. I'm not that girl anymore, so I got to let that go. So I explained to my husband that I am in a season of releasing things with gratitude, not guilt. I'm thankful that I had the means to purchase it. I'm thankful that by me giving it away, that I am now donating this to somewhere else for somebody else to benefit from it. Right? So you can release things with gratitude, not guilt. Understand that you're not disrespecting your memories by letting them go. You're simply saying, thank you for your service, right? Thank you for the role you played, but you no longer belong to me now. It's not erasure, it's just evolution. Everything in life changes. So you can thank people for being in your life. Because again, some of the things that we need to declutter is the people in our circle. You can thank them for being in your life and for who they were, even if they're people who helped you through a dark time. Thank you so much for being here for me. right? But like, I no longer need that from you. I'm in a different season now. I'm evolving. I'm growing. And for those of us who are getting rid of the physical clutter, another thing that I would suggest to have like a grace box, right? For the things that you feel like you are emotionally stuck to, put them in a box. Set a timer on your phone and come back in 30 days. If you haven't thought about them, right? When that timer goes off 30 days from now on your phone and you haven't even thought about the items in your box, then you'll know that it's okay and it's time to release it. But if that item has still been on your mind, then maybe it's not time to let it go yet. So yeah, Alana, just understand that decluttering is an act of self-care, right? You're not just making space in your home, you're making room for your peace. Yeah, I mean, for everybody who deals with this, because like I said, I think we all have some things that we can let go of. I think this is a good spot for us to all ask ourselves, what's one thing that we can release this week to create more peace? Right? Because we all got something we could let go of. So put it in the chat. What's one thing that you can release this week to create more peace for you? That's a good one. Thank you so much for your question, Alana. And I hope that helps. Alana, I do also have a free resource. Let me know if you want me to send it over. It is a 2-week guide to decluttering. And it is a step-by-step guide for 2 weeks on how you can let go of things. So I'll be happy to send that to you. Just let me know if you're interested. All right, y'all. The next one we have is, I'm a parent, but I'm losing myself. Whew. I think every parent can say that they've had this moment, right? This is from Danielle. Danielle says, I love my family. I swear I do. And I'm grateful for my kids, my partner, and everything. But somewhere along the way, I lost me. I became a mom. I became a wife. I became a caregiver. And now when I look in the mirror, I don't even recognize myself anymore. Y'all, I feel like Danielle over here telling my story. Let's keep going, y'all. She says, it's like I'm moving through life on autopilot, managing schedules, making sure everybody's fed, the homework's done, appointments are kept, but no one's asking me how I'm doing. And I don't even know what I would say if they did. I really miss me. I miss the me that loved reading for fun, the me who used to get dressed up for no particular reason, the me that had dreams beyond taking care of everybody else. I feel guilty for even saying this out loud because I know that I'm blessed and I'm not trying to be ungrateful, but does it make me ungrateful for admitting that I'm losing myself in this process? How do I find my way back to me without feeling like I'm neglecting my family? Because I don't want to keep running on empty. I want to be the whole person again. Listen, anybody else feel like Danielle just told all my business? Like, who gave Danielle access to that part of my journal? I don't recall writing a song about that yet, Danielle, all in my business. But listen, I do hear the weariness in your words, and I understand that. Being a parent is hard. Being a wife is hard. Being the caretaker of someone else is hard. Hell, adulting solo is hard. So I definitely hear the weariness in your words. And let me tell you right now that loving your family doesn't mean losing yourself. You were somebody before you were a mama. You had dreams, you had passions, you had a whole identity before, life showed up with a constant to-do list. And you have every right to reclaim that woman, not just for you, but for your kids. So that way they can see what self-love looks like in action. But here's the part that nobody talks about, right? When you're in caretaker mode for so long, right? Reconnecting with yourself starts to feel foreign, and that's normal. That's part of the process. And it doesn't have to be like a huge leap. Just like with our decluttering, you start small. Take 10 minutes a day just for yourself, right? Lock yourself in the bathroom if you have to. During that 10 minutes, use that time to read one chapter of that book, sing your favorite song, take a shower without somebody needing something. Just take a deep breath and just be, right? Those small moments start to add up. They're not selfish. They are absolutely essential. So again, start small, 10 or 15 minutes. I started by setting my alarm clock 15 minutes earlier, right? Not too much. Didn't want to do too much, y'all. But I started setting my alarm clock 15 minutes earlier, and I would get up when my alarm went off, and I would go take 15 minutes just for me before everybody else got up, before I had to, get my son off to school, things like that. I would wake up and I would do something for me. Even if it meant, if there's a book that I've been wanting to get into, if I wanted to, whatever, have my coffee in peace, whatever it is, you schedule time each day. If you can afford to do so multiple times a day, I encourage it. But again, something as simple as just taking 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day for just you, that adds up. And I want you to know that you're not neglecting your family by nurturing yourself. You're simply teaching your family how to prioritize their well-being. You're showing up after, pouring into yourself. You're showing them that a healthy, happy, whole version of you is the best gift that you can give them. So, Danielle, I need you to know that, it's not ungrateful to admit that you're running on empty. We've all been on E. All right. You can, love your life, your family, and still long to have more. That longing is not a complaining. It's just calling you back to you. It's aligning you with the purpose that God has in store for you. So I think that you need to spend a little more time, maybe tap in more to your spiritual self-care, because I feel like maybe God is trying to shift you into something and you just kind of keep steering back into the other lane. And maybe he's trying to reposition you to something more. Like I said, he's calling you back to you. But you're not alone. Like, I think that every parent can identify with this, especially after surviving COVID, right? I mean, we went through a lot, having to all of a sudden be the teacher, the doctor, the social worker, all these things for our kids. We were not prepared for that, but we did it. So now, parents, ask yourself, when is the last time you did something for you? What have you done for you lately? And if it's been too long, say, you know what? I'm reclaiming me. I'm reclaiming me. That I deserve more than just the roles that I feel. So, Danielle, I hope that helps, love. Keep me posted. All right. Last letter of the day, you guys. Back to school stress is already getting me. I know that's right. My son go back to school in 8 days, and I am stressed, y'all. Monique says, back to school feels overwhelming. These schedules, expenses, and this mental load. How do I manage this stress while prioritizing my mental wellness? Girl, if you figure it out, let me know. Let me know, honey. But no, seriously, back to school pressure is real. It's not just our kiddos that feel it. It's us, because we are the ones making sure that everything's okay. We got to get these clothes, the uniforms, the materials. We got to learn new schedules, meet new teachers. Like, it's a whole to do. And I think that back to school season has historically been glamorized as this exciting, fresh start. Man, I don't really know that there's anything exciting about this, like, the ones that's doing all the behind the scenes heavy lifting. Back to school is overwhelming. The schedules, like I said, the shopping list, the appointments, the emotional check-ins with the kids, that's a lot. And oftentimes nobody's checking on us. And so, again, you have to remind yourself that you cannot pour into your family from a place of depletion, that even during this time, you still deserve to be supported, not just as a parent, but as a whole person with real needs. So I want you to first start by understanding everything doesn't have to be perfect, right? Get that Pinterest perfect image out of your head, right? Your child just needs you to be present and peaceful. They don't need a burnout parent. You've got to learn to delegate and automate whatever you can, whether it's asking for help with school drop-offs, meal prepping, or, some grab and go type of options, incorporating them in it. Okay, you can make your own lunch. Come here. I done bought the food. Here it is. Make your own, right? Or even simplifying your after school routine. You just got to make peace with doing less so you can be more present. Let them. And I'm playing with my ring, y'all, because it says let them. But this ring is a constant reminder for me to let them do it. Let them handle some more of it, right? So delegate and automate what you can. Again, I need you to learn how to schedule breaks. And you got to schedule breathing breaks. Hey, Cap. Welcome back, Jordan. By taking these breaks, you need intentional pauses to get through your day. Thank you, guys. Like I said, even if it's just 10 minutes blocked for a bathroom breathe break or a stretch break, right? Or a just be moment to reset your energy. I want you to ask yourself on a daily basis, what do I need? What do I need today? For some of us, what do I need right now? That's not selfish. That is literally survival. It is self-preservation. You cannot manage your family's emotional load if you're drowning in yours. I also need you to learn how to say no without explaining. Overextending during this season, specifically for back to school, is an easy path to burnout. Every no that you say to them is a yes to your own mental peace. So, yes, back to school is a family transition. It's not a one-woman show. You are allowed to need support. This is a group effort. This is a collaborative effort. You are allowed to put your well-being first. I think that a great affirmation for you, Monique, would be, I'm giving myself grace this season. My peace is a priority, not an afterthought. For everyone else, I want you to, think about one way that you can make this back to school season easier on your mental health. Right? What is one thing that you can delegate? And you'll be surprised that just delegating one or two small tasks, how much time that frees up for you. If this is a task that usually took 5 or 10 minutes for you to do, and you're like, oh, it's no problem, it only takes me 10 minutes. Baby, delegate that task and take that 10 minutes for yourself. You deserve it. And you guys, everyone listening, I want you to understand that healing out loud takes courage. So in all of these situations that we've explored today, each and every one of these lovely people they're healing out loud, right? They're doing the work. Even when you don't feel like you're getting it all right, even when you don't feel like you're getting it all done, they're doing the work. Simply asking the question of how can I better me, that is doing the work. Simply acknowledging that I am operating from a place of lack and not abundance, that is taking a step to do the work. They say in any of the 12-step programs, admitting that something is wrong is the first step. And that is the biggest step and the hardest step. So I applaud each and every one of you ladies. I thank you guys for writing in and asking your questions. For those of you who have been here today, sharing, in these Q&A. I thank you guys for being here, showing up for yourselves. I want you guys to know that I see you and I see that you are all doing the work. I am proud of you. If ain't nobody else told you lately, I'm proud of you. Coach is proud of y'all. Okay? Now, before we part ways for the day, y'all, let me leave you guys with a little love and light. As always, I encourage each and every one of you to keep breathing through the highs, through the lows, and for every moment in between. I encourage you to keep choosing peace, even when it feels just out of reach. And I want you to know that here at the Self-Care Club, you will always be seen, always valued, and always supported. So don't be afraid to take up space, speak your truth, and make a little room for you to breathe. I love each and every one of you to life, and I am praying that your day is not just amazing, but aligned and intentional, and yes, on purpose, filled with nothing but purpose. Drop a green heart in the chat, in the comments, if the letters today resonated with you. And for those of you who got your own letter, got your own question, go ahead and send it in to us at info@selfcareclub.org. So info@selfcareclub.org. I want you to know that your voice matters, that your voice belongs here. And I'll be so happy to answer any questions from any of you. But again, you guys, this has been a Room to Breathe podcast, and I can't wait to connect with you all again soon. Thank you.